When gooning saves your dying game. Oh, it's Snowbreak. I see. When I saw that title, I wasn't sure what game it was going to be. Whether it was going to be Snowbreak or Brown Dust or... There's a couple of games I could I could point to. We watched the Evil one already. We watched that last week.
What in God's name is going on in this fandom? Snowbreak Containment Zone is infamously known for its R17.9 fan service, but the amount of drama and things this game had to go through is insane. I feel bad for the developers. It started in September 2021, when Season revealed Project Snow in a teaser, shortly followed by a closed beta test. The game was officially named Snowbreak Containment Zone in 2022 March, followed by another beta test, and after much marketing, in July 2023, the game finally released worldwide simultaneously with English, Chinese, and Japanese voices.
Wow!
Okay, but what actually
simultaneous release is kind of crazy.
This game? Snowbreak was marketed as a third-person shooter with a cool sci-fi setting. We are an adjutant commanding a squad of female fighters to battle mysterious titans. The game had a very cold image, bleak tones, a desolate atmosphere, and yes, unlike most gacha games, very modest dressing girls. Like, little to no fan service. Seriously, this was a cool game. Initial reviews were mixed. Some people didn't like the bland environments. Some thought the shooter mechanics were too simple.
Why is everything grey? Outside of the characters, there's one color in this scene. Like the color in the characters in the UI. This is all the color. I love the atmosphere. I think it's fine for there to be sections like this, but when the entire game looks like this, like I can see why people say it would look bland.
Some people didn't like the bland environments. Some thought the shooter mechanics were too simple. And the localization was pretty bad.
Thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Mummy's Stinky Toy. What a fucking name.
Bad for global people. Initial rankings, though, told a different story. 2 million pre-registrations at release, and even #1 on the China iOS App Store free download chart. However, the game's problems showed, and Snowbreak failed to retain people. Only a month later, the game had dropped out of the top 200 for both downloads and revenue. For most gacha games, this is a death sentence. The first impression is almost everything, and very few gacha games that flop at the beginning managed to crawl their way back up. The developers knew this, but they didn't want to give up just yet. So only half a year later, at the end of 2023, the developers went with a very, very bold move, completely shifting the game into a romance dating sim-esque super fan service game.
Now we have a video game.
They went full throttle for fan service. At first, it was just swimsuit costumes, and then came intimacy features. Essentially, players could interact with the girls in very, intimate ways. Yo, this position is wild. No, seriously. They pushed what you can show to the limit. Over time, to appease to the male fantasy, I say this unironically, all male characters were removed, including NPCs who were gender bent into girls.
Okay.
All male characters were removed.
Delete all of the men. The only way you can have men in a game like this is if they're antagonists. That is usually the only way it goes. And even then, it's rare.
Including NPCs who were gender bent into girls. Yuri scenes were removed. The game became much more saturated with color and gender bent into girls. Yuri scenes were removed. Okay, now you're losing me. Who the fuck doesn't like Yuri scenes? removed, the game became much more saturated with color, and the overall tone and themes of the game drastically changed to focus on romance. They even changed an old character design by upping their boob size,
Based.
and eventually, after some time, made the bold decision to up the game's rating to 18+, despite this limiting their advertising capabilities. Just
Okay.
so they could go more ham than they already did on fan service. It genuinely became a game where girls with giant tits fawn over you, their commander. This became the new focus of the game, a romance simulator. And
You are the
thing
only
is,
man.
It worked. Sure, some people who came for the serious sci-fi setting were disappointed, and some clowned on the game and its fanbase for being a gooner game. But you know what they say?
Do you know what? I love people that are like, oh, it's a Guna game. Oh, Guna game, Guna. Don't fucking care. If I'm rich, I don't care. Oh no, it's a Guna game. Oh no, it doesn't appeal to you. Fuck off. Go play something else.
Hey, sex sells. This new theme brought a huge influx of new players, and many loved it. The main selling point here...
Fun fact, most anti-Gooners are closeted Gooners. I think everybody kind of knows that. So back when Twitter had likes public, you would see these people that are like these anti-porn accounts, or these like, you know, oh, blah blah blah, characters with big tits bad. You go to their likes, and well, I don't need to explain anymore.
was that the game provided a genuine romance experience that other gacha games just couldn't. Sure, other gacha games had big titty mommy and
They do.
cunny screaming sensei, but they couldn't give you the wholesome dating experience.
Wholesome.
In Snowbreak, the girls actually kiss you, they
Wow.
flirt with you, you can actually touch them and they moan. And eventually, you could marry them. The marriage was canon, there was no cop-out, the game actually fully committed to the romance, which was
What?
unheard of in other
Okay.
gacha games. Snowbreak was not just horny, the dialogue and dating experience was super sweet and filled this crave for romance that other gachas couldn't. The devs knew exactly what their fans wanted and gave it to them, and people loved how they actually listened to their fans. Near its first
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't go full eroge. I reckon the only reason they didn't go full eroge is just because it would have been a problem on the App Store. I actually feel like that is the entire reason they didn't do it.
anniversary in April 2024, the game exploded back up in the rankings. Monthly revenue in China burst back to an estimated 100 million renminbi. An insane feat for a game that was on its dying breath on release. Chinese media literally called it a miraculous comeback against the headwinds. However, building a loyal fan base in this fashion wouldn't come without its consequences. You see, these fans were...
Oh, let me guess. Some of the waifus were nerfed, or there's like power scaling and their wife now becomes a bad character. I wonder.
loyal to their game. This was fine and all, but a bunch of incidents exemplified how the fandom really became toxic. Because of the 18+ restrictions, the devs didn't focus much on advertising. However, people started noticing a lot of lewd ads of Snowbreak on the Kuaishou app in China.
Sure.
The thing is, not only did these ads steal art from other games to use for lewd thumbnails, but these ads actively promoted Snowbreak as a hentai game, which it technically wasn't. These ads were actually not created by the devs, but by some third party who wanted to do this for some reason.
Okay.
While the devs denied it was them, got the ads taken down, and threatened legal action pretty quickly, these ads spawned a bunch of conspiracy theories. Players suspected that it was a sabotage attempt by competitors who were jealous of Snowbreak's success, particularly
Okay.
because they noticed many of the ad accounts linked to a marketing firm, making them believe a rival company hired them. The whole thing turned into a shitstorm pretty quickly online. Other gacha communities mocked Snowbreak for using their game's assets to make ads. Snowbreak players then retaliated by going into other gacha game communities and screaming at anyone who dared paint the game in a negative light.
All of these people, this is... Every single one of these is like hyper parasocial. Not a single one of these people. Just play your dumb video game.
Players online basically became elitist defenders of the game. It was like Gacha Gamer Wars. It was full-on chaos. From a profit perspective though, it was paying off. It made over 1 billion renminbi in 2024, and the game's player base grew to over 13 million. Now, while things looked good financially, starting here, Snowbreak would start to become cursed with drama after drama. The next shit show came with the voice actors. Very suddenly, in mid-2024, many of the English voice actors started to refuse recording.
Oh, it was this game! Right, I remember this! Okay, I completely remember this. Yeah. The EN voice actors, they started bitching about the game being fan service heavy. Oh, I remember this. No one gives a shit about the English voices. Quit. These people that take on a job and then are like, oh, I don't like the direction of the game. You are the reason why these companies are pushing for AI. You are the reason why they're going to do it and why they are going to push it even more. I cannot wait for the day that the entire American voice acting scene is just pushed out of the industry. There are some people that are reasonable, but there is so much of the English scene that is just like high and mighty about the games they voice in, and then voice them terribly.
Lines for new content due to being uncomfortable with the new suggestive direction of the game. This was fine. The English fanbase was the minority, so rather than blindly rushing a recast, devs just decided to cancel English voices entirely for the
actually fucking based
time being. This was fine, as most dedicated English players were probably playing with Japanese or Chinese voices anyway.
We don't need them. Yeah, here it is. These motherfuckers do realize AI is coming, right? Yup.
But then the Chinese voice actor struck. Out of nowhere, devs announced a majority of the Chinese voice actors and voice directors would no longer be working with them. By a majority, I literally mean all of them, but like 3 voice actresses. You can imagine the chaos. Though no official reason was given, it's speculated that it's also due to the game's raunchy nature. Many fearing a role like this could possibly stigmatize their future career, as China still, let's just say,
okay, China's a special case.
Looks down on these kinds of suggestive works a lot. Thankfully, amongst the panic, the devs responded very quickly, somehow recasting almost the entire cast in a mere few months. And
that was like, you know what? We got the money to replace you fuckers.
Even added voices to previously unvoiced parts of the game, like older side stories.
Wow!
They went overboard in a good way, and despite being sad at the loss of many loved voice actresses, fans were quite happy with how devs responded, breeding more loyalty. By the way, Japanese voice actors were completely unaffected this entire time.
There is a lot of directors. There is a lot of voice actors that start their career in an eroge, in hentai. Lots and lots of people do that. Or if not that, just like an ecchi series that, you know, not a problem at all.
I guess they're just used to it. We
Yeah.
had peace for a whole nother month until the next incident. And this time it wouldn't end so happy. In August, the game was suddenly hit by a forced censorship, presumably by the Chinese government. Essentially, every super sexy outfit added before the age rating increased to 18 plus had to be removed. I assume this has something to do with legal logistics. But yeah, it wasn't even censor the outfits. It was remove them from the shop. Players who had the outfits could still use them. And they did offer the skins last second at a huge discount before they were removed. So good on them.
Actually kind of based.
Players actually later found that the devs sneakily left a censor detoggle button in the files, but
These devs, man. These fucking devs.
Still, at the time, this led to players being very concerned. Doom posting about not just current censorship, but future censorship. Fan service was literally the reason most players were playing. Censorship of this would be a death sentence. The devs promised there would be no more censorship in the future, but the fanbase was still shook. Even when the next updates,
Oh my
skins
god.
came, everyone just kept wondering, is there a point to buying this? Will this get removed again? And when trust was shaken, another really stupid drama came up. Okay, so this is literally Twitter level of stupid drama.
Okay.
So essentially, Snowbreak's Japanese branch had invited a group of cosplayers at Tokyo Game Show 2024
Right.
for promotion. The Chinese fan base then somehow found one of the cosplayers 9 years ago had a random social media post about straight male cancer. Basically kind of a slur in Chinese for guys with toxic masculinity beliefs. And then there was outrage and harassment towards this cosplayer. This was literally like a one-sentence post.
So not even a voice actor. A cosplayer from 10 years ago. I see. Okay.
Cosplayer even clarified that that statement was an old sentiment due to some personal conflict at the time.
Yeah, okay. So it's someone that had daddy issues 10 years ago. And then got older. And then realized that she was being stupid. I fucking hate the internet sometimes, man. I really do. I love the internet.
And she no longer held these views. But nope, the fanbase found it insulting. The devs, seeing the outrage, unlike most companies, actually bended to the fans. They promised they were never going to work with cosplayers ever again. Because of this one girl who made a
Don't risk
post
it.
9 years ago.
Don't risk it.
Obviously, many
making a
outsiders saw
shitload of
this as
money.
extreme and kind of clowned on the Snowbreak fanbase for being like this. But perhaps the devs felt they had to bend the knee because these extremists were the ones keeping their game alive. But oh boy, this fandom gets crazier. Only 2 months later. Yes, seriously, this game had like 5 incidents in like 6 months. Snowbreak released patch 2.3. And this was an absolute shitstorm. It had to do with the in-game story. A few things. The story referenced past male characters with numbers. People got mad. The new story introduced some Yuri baiting. People got mad. And the most serious one...
I don't understand the hatred of Yuri. This does not make any sense to me. Why are people angry about Yuri baiting? If you make one of them your wife, that means you just get 2. Why are we angry about the Yuri baiting?
Basically, there was this villain who could shapeshift, and shapeshifted into one of the main waifus of the game. It's then implied that the villain does lewd things with a male NPC off-screen, and even moaning is heard. The fanbase perceived this as NTR. They were fucking enraged. Essentially, they perceived things with one of the most... People got mad. The new story introduced some Yuri baiting. People got mad. And the most serious one, basically there was this villain who could shapeshift, and shapeshifted into one of the main waifus of the game. It's then implied that the villain does lewd things with a male NPC off-screen, and even moaning is heard. The fanbase perceived this as NTR. They were fucking enraged. Essentially, the Snowbreak fanbase just...
I don't see, you say that, but like, look at Genshin, look at Honkai. These games don't have any issues with Yuri baiting. I think the issue is the fact that you can marry the waifus. Because people don't have an issue with it in those games. Yuri baiting is totally fine. Actually, it's not even fine. It's actively encouraged. You don't know how much fucking Yuri art there is for some of these games.
Wanted the game to be about waifus endlessly loving them and them alone. The fantasy.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it is literally just these are people that don't that because the game lets you marry the waifus. They want it to be, oh, they're not going to do anything with anyone else. Shit. Okay. That makes sense.
Of fantasies, interaction with other males, Yuri, NTR, all obstacles of their pure wholesome romance fantasy, and they hated it. The NTR one was especially bad. Apparently, all the senior staff were so busy working on other stuff that they delegated the 2.3 story to a writer who had only worked on side content before, ending in this disaster. Quickly noticing the wrath of the fanbase, they had an emergency live stream, apologized, claimed the writer responsible had gone rogue, claimed that they had fired 2 people over this incident, promised their feelings were the same as the fan base, and that they would also never reference past males again. The lead writer then completely retconned all the events of this patch's story, like they removed the story in the game, and essentially redid the story in a way the players would like. They even gave a bunch of free in-game resources as an apology. Players accepted the apology and moved on.
God.
But this really showed the outside world how rabid Snowbreak fans were about their 2D romance. But I also feel like the company has some kind of
This guy is like, oh my fucking god, why are we doing this again?
Toxic relationship with its fan base. They're the opposite of most gacha games. They just listen to everything the fan base wants. They keep apologizing and cater super hard. The thing is, it works. Profits-wise, Snowbreak is going as strong as ever. In just the first half of 2025, the company made 2 billion renminbi for online games and others, and specifically attributes high profits from Snowbreak as the reason. Thankfully, there hasn't been any super big drama for a while, and the devs seem to have found a pattern for what fans want and how to deal with them. I don't know how it must feel to always have to bend the knee for your fan base. It must be so weird, but either way, even with one of the most polarizing fan bases, the game is more successful than ever.
Imagine if American companies did that. It's like, instead of saying, you know, we're right, you're wrong, it's, we're gonna do every single thing that you say and make games that, make games entirely based on what you suggest.
And will probably continue to be in the future. So what's the lesson to be learned here?
Whales have a lot of money
and big boobs sell.
True.
Yup. Special thanks to Vicente Pagani and all my other patrons and members for supporting the channel.
What a game. What a video. The censorship makes it look way worse. It actually does, though. Like, he's so terrified of the YouTube strikes that the censorship actually makes it so much fucking worse. Fans, make it right. Also, here's some money. Yeah. Where can I download this? Isn't Snowbreak on Steam? Yeah, Snowbreak's on the Steam. I don't know if it works on Linux. But it is on Steam. Can't believe this mobile game actually committed to being a sexy fan service game while giving us the ability to marry the girls, go through dating events, and be more intimate with the girls. That is a very smart move. Yeah. Fan service saves lives. Actually true. What was not discussed? Identity of the former Chinese voice director when the China VAs quit en masse. The second round of censorship. Official Discord hijacking event that led to global CC ditching Snowbreak. Introduction of 100% banners. The second usage of JP cos. They did it again. Free 5-star every update. I don't know if the anti-cheat allows it to work. I'm not sure. Let's go on ProtonDB find out. Because a lot of gacha games do have like real hard anti-cheat, and I would assume this is probably the case. Oh wait, actually it works. Okay, well, I guess you can play it.